Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 156. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night Blades versus Aspinall. Prelims. We're going to do the prelims here if you're looking for the main card, including the main event, obviously. That is in the last video. Thank you for stopping by. Before we get into this stuff, please, if you like MMA, if you like talking about MMA, you like hearing about MMA, UFC, Bellator, PFL, ONE FC, talk about all that stuff here. Love doing that stuff on my channel. Subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. I'd really appreciate it. And if you like this video, hit the like button. Awesome. Cool. Let's move on. Mason Jones versus Ludovic Klein. Mason Jones is tough. Tough as shit. He took a lot of damage in this fight. Ludovic Klein getting every single round, in my opinion. First round could have been close. I gave that one to Ludovic. We're going to go over round by round, but he did end up getting the unanimous decision via 30-27 on every single card, every single judge's scorecard. So Klein was landing some really hard. So Mason, for those of you guys who don't know, Mason Jones is a very good fighter. Decent striking, good grappling, strong guy, crazy good chin. And, he just hasn't had the UFC career or the start to a UFC career that you want from a guy with this amount of skill that he has. Losing to Mike Davis in his opener, having the no contest to Alan Patrick, and then barely making it out alive against David Onama, and then now losing to Ludovic Klein. So if there's something to be said about Mason Jones so far, it's that he doesn't quit. He's tough as shit, and he's got a lot to work on. Ludovic Klein is no slouch in the striking department, but his grappling was good enough to keep up with Jones in this one, and I think that's what made the biggest difference, was keeping it on the feet and not allowing Jones to kind of do anything that he wanted to do. So Klein was landing some really good hard shots at range, a few head kicks, the left hand was landing really well. Klein landed some flashy shots, doing more damage. I just had it 10-9 in the first round. It wasn't a total blowout. You look at the striking numbers, they're in favor of Klein, 21-20. As far as significant strikes go, there was no real big grappling exchanges or submission attempts pretty much in this entire fight, so that doesn't play into this at all. I think Jones was doing fine in the first round, and he has a great chin, like I said, but if he wanted to win, he needed to get Klein tired or get him to the ground, and neither one of those things happened. Second round was a little bit better as far as like striking numbers go, 20-16 in favor of Klein. It wasn't better. It was I'll explain. So Jones comes out just guns blazing forward with very little discipline defensively, and he gets caught with a right hand and gets dropped almost immediately. And then Jones did a good job coming back in that round, in the second round here, getting off his back, getting good position, and starting to lay down some damage of himself. He even landed a really hard knee, but I had him down 20-18. So I knew he needed to finish, from my opinion, in this last round to get a win, and he just didn't do it. Jones went for a flying armbar at one point. He jumped guard, and he lost position in this third round, giving up 3.5 minutes of control time because of that, and that's why he lost the round. He just wasn't able to do any damage, wasn't able to do anything, and he just lost this one. So what does this mean for Mason Jones? Is he a total failure? Is he, I don't think he's a hype job, because I don't think he had a ton of hype on him, right? People were talking about him, but not in a way that, the UFC was pushing him real hard, like a Paige Van Zandt or a Sage Northcutt type of deal, or a Cody Garbrandt. You know what I mean? He wasn't being touted as the next big thing necessarily. So, maybe he can fly a little bit under the radar, eke out a couple of decision wins, and kind of get back on track. But, he does have stuff that he needs to work on. He does. Yeah, he's definitely not a perfect fighter, obviously. As the losing in this fight and not having the most stellar start to a UFC career. But I think he does have a lot of upside. He's very tough, and he has a lot of skills, He just needs to kind of wrap them all together and be more disciplined, especially on the feet. He can't be taking shots like that. Okamali Dokali. So Mark Diakiese versus Hadzovic. If you like wrestling, this is the round for you. If this is the fight for you. I don't want to be hard on Diakiese here. All right. He's had a rough go of it in the UFC, winning 3, losing 3, winning 2, losing 2, and now winning 2, right? I think he's got, again, like Jones, he's got a lot of upside. He's been in the game a little bit longer, you know. He is 29 years old, but he's been in the UFC for 6 years, right? He's been fighting in the UFC since he was 23, and he came out guns blazing, right? KO, unanimous decision, KO. And he loses to Drakkar Klose, and he runs into Dan Hooker and Nasrat Haqparast. You know, these guys, those 3 guys are guys that we still know now. Like, those names still hold water. Joe Duffy, he gets a win over. Lando Venata, that's a good win. And then losing to Rafael Fiziev, who's, you know, knocking on the title door. And Rafael Alves. Yeah, we'll see, but I don't think that's going to look good. Beating Damir Hadzovic in the way he did, where he just took him down and got, like, I'm not going to explain round by round on this one because I can explain one and then we'll, you know, cut and paste because that's pretty much how every round went. He got a takedown in the first 20 seconds of the first round here and dominated him on the ground the entire time. I don't think it says Hadzovic landed a significant strike in that first round. I don't know when it happened, but 4 minutes and 45 seconds of control time in this first round, 4:17 in the second round, and 4:33. And those were all dominant position on top, holding him down, not letting Hadzovic do anything. Now, Diakiese wasn't landing a ton of damage either. You can look at the significant strikes. 2, 8, and 3 in each round for Mark. So he wasn't doing a lot of damage himself, but he wasn't taking any damage, and he was constantly improving position. It was very workmanlike. I'm not going to begrudge him for getting a win here. He's back in the win column. You know, he's got 2 wins he's back on a win streak for the first time in a very long time. It's good for him. Yeah, he hasn't had a win streak since 2019, right? 3 years ago. So, you know, he's had 2 losses in the past 2 years. And he needed another win, kind of get back on track, and kind of, you know, showing us that, you know, wrestling, along with his last fight, wrestling is going to be a part of his game going forward. So you're going to have to prepare for that, as well as his nickname is Bone Crusher, but I don't know if that should stay anymore based off of his current fighting style. Good fight for him. I'm not mad at it. I know the commentary team, especially Bisping, you know, he's being kind of hard on him, saying he should be going for more finishes and saying that, like, hey, if you can dominate a guy like this on the ground, you need to be doing more to try and get the finish. Totally understand. I can understand it from a fan's point of view. This isn't the most exciting thing to watch. I often speak to this. Like, listen, if you're watching this video, if you're watching me right now about the prelims on a fight night card, like, this means something to you. So you're probably a pretty hardcore fan. This is one of those fights where you actually, a lot of these fights on the prelims here are some of those fights where you're kind of embarrassed that you invited your friends over who don't watch MMA, because you're like, shit, you know, like, this isn't going to get them hooked onto the sport. They're going to think it's boring, or, you know, they're not going to be interested in it. You know, you can appreciate what Wood is doing. It's like watching Colby Covington. I'm not comparing the two, saying they're the same. Okay. Like, Diakiese. What Diakiese did. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not comparing what he does and saying he's as good or as dominant as Colby Covington is, because Colby's doing that at the highest level in his division. What I'm saying is, if you were to bring someone to watch either one of those guys fight, you can't, like, maybe if that guy is, you know, the opener, the highlight, is maybe skip that one. Maybe don't invite your friends over if they're not hardcore fans. Maybe find something else to do while they're around. You know, maybe watch these ones on your own. So this is one of those fights. Moving on here. Nathaniel Wood taking on Charles Rosa. You know, Rosa's, I don't get it. I know he's been in the UFC for 8 years now. I think we can cut him, guys. I hate watching. I said this the last time I saw him fight. I think when he fought TJ Brown, maybe Damon Jackson, maybe TJ Brown. I don't remember. I remember watching him fight last time and just being not dumbstruck. I just didn't want to see it. Look at this. all decisions in his past 7 fights. It's been all decisions. And I know he's fought a lot, relatively speaking. I get that since 2020. I get it. But he's alternated wins and losses his entire UFC career. Doesn't have a win over a good opponent, in my opinion. I get Kyle Bochniak wasn't bad. Justin James isn't horrible. But no, look at his losses. I know they're the good fighters. You know, Dennis Seaver, Yair Rodriguez, Shane Burgos, Bryce Mitchell, Derek Minner, Damon Jackson, TJ Brown, and Nathaniel Wood. He's all right. So I know he's fighting guys, like good guys here. But, dude, the amount of damage he took in this fight. Look at this. Look at the amount of strikes that he absorbed in every round. And they're pretty much, dude, there are so many of them were to the head. Like 27 to the head, 18 to the head, 17 to the head. And he's just taking so much damage. You know, I don't want to, again, this is one of those ones, I even wrote it down in my notes. As I've said before, Rosa is so hittable, and Wood caught him plenty of times, landing at will on the feet. Rosa's left leg was acting weird from like the second or third low leg kick that he took. Rosa ended the round squeezing the shit out of Wood's neck, and his head came close to a submission, kind of, but he got away. Hey, he took way too much damage, guys. Rosa lost that first round. You want to look at the striking numbers: 39-25 in favor of Wood, 31-12 in favor of Wood in the second round, and 27-14 in favor of Wood. Wood was just coasting to a finish, picking him apart. Rosa took an astonishing amount of damage in this fight. I am not a fan of watching him. I don't like when I see his name on the card. I don't like when I see him coming up next to fight. I know I'm not going to enjoy watching it. It is not like watching Darren Elkins, where the guy just outworks his opponent and takes the damage and blah, blah, blah. It is not that. It is watching a man being taken to the gallows. It's terrible, and I can't watch it anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to see Rosa fight anymore. Please cut him. You know, I'm not saying take away his career or something, but he needs to be fighting lesser opposition if he wants to keep fighting for a living. So Bellator, PFL, you know, Eagle FC, he needs to go somewhere else. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way it's going to be. All right. Makwan Amirkhani versus Jonathan Pearce, JSP. Pearce doing a good job. Amirkhani, both guys were doing a ton of grappling, but Pearce got the better of it. And as far as striking goes, 46-6 in favor of Pearce in the first round and 44-5. Pearce ends up getting the TKO in the second round. You know, Jonathan Pearce he defended takedowns, he landed like 30 elbows, downward elbows, you know, defending the takedown, and he split Makwan open. The grappling pressure and submission attempts were in favor of Makwan, but the striking numbers were all Pearce. Same in the second round. Pearce just outworked, and he out-wrestled Amirkhani, and he got the TKO due to exhaustion from Makwan. He just couldn't keep up anymore. And look at this. I know he's got a name that people recognize, and the win versus Mike Grundy kind of put him back on track, I guess. But come on. Please. Can we please stop letting these guys do this? He had wins, and that's great. But he's been losing since 2019 more than not. He's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 2-5 in his last 7 fights. One more fight, maybe. I watch him fight. It looks like he doesn't want it. Right? And Jonathan Pearce doing the damn thing. 4 wins in a row. Time to step up in competition now. Okay? Time to step up in competition for him. At featherweight, it's a rough division. See what he can do. I think he looks good. JSP's got good cardio. But a lot of people have good cardio at featherweight. He's got decent wrestling. A lot of people have good wrestling at featherweight. You know, there's a lot of wrestlers there. Striking is good. Featherweight is rough, man. You know, you're going to have to bring it at featherweight. Mokaev versus Charles Johnson. This one was actually a really good wrestling match. I enjoyed watching this. This is one of those times where Mokaev was controlling the grappling and laying out some... Like, he did a little bit of damage, like, in tight, but the striking numbers were not spectacular. Obviously, in either in either way during this entire fight. 6-1 in favor of Mokaev, 5-5, so it was actually even in the second round, and then 1-6 in favor of Johnson in the last round. But it was really the grappling and the control time. If you look at this control time, 11 minutes and 44 seconds for Mokaev. Very Khabib-like performance. 4 minutes in the first round, 3 minutes and 37 seconds, and almost 4 minutes in the third round of control time for him. Yes, Johnson landed strikes in there because Mokaev was constantly trying to get better position, and I get that. This is one of those ones where one guy technically was doing more damage. I would say Johnson did more damage, but Mokaev just wasn't allowing Johnson to do anything. He did a really good job. Mokaev's a really good fighter, and it's an excellent wrestler. I want to see what happens when he gets tested a little bit. And I think Johnson, if he can hang in there that long for 15 minutes of straight wrestling, I think he can do some pretty good work at flyweight. So I'm excited for both those guys. Mokaev came out in his UFC debut and got the finish against Cody Durden a few months ago. So he's got a long way to go. He has a bright future ahead of him too. All right, Jai Herbert versus Kyle Nelson. Nelson landed a really hard kick to the body, and Herbert dropped his arm a little bit in that first round. But Nelson was pressed up against the cage, and he was still landing some good shots. And then it was back and forth, but I think Nelson got the better of it in that first round. And the striking numbers are definitely in favor of Nelson, 19-7. And then in the second round here, Herbert kind of picked it up. Nelson looked a little tired, and he was getting touched a little bit more, and it was a much better round. I actually gave the second round to Herbert, and he did a good job, 24-17 as far as striking numbers go, and I think that played out pretty well. In this third round, it was even, 5-5. And Herbert got top control, didn't do a ton of damage, so that one was close. I think, the striking numbers bore it out, and the control time. Do you know what I mean? If you have even striking numbers, even amount of damage, and then you have 3.5 minutes of control time, that's it, man. You got to win. You win that round, and he won the fight. So it's good for him to get back on the winning track. Going 1-4 in your UFC career isn't a good way to go, but losing 2 in a row, winning a fight, and then losing and winning. Again, he lost to some decent opponents. He's early in his UFC career. He's only been in it for 2 years. Let's give him a break. Let's see how he turns out. I feel like he's got a lot of skill. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's give him a chance. Okay. Now, if this pattern continues where he'll win 2, lose 2, win 2, then you're a journeyman. You win 2, lose 2, win 2, and then you lose 5, then you get cut. We just went over a bunch of careers that look like that. We just went over 2 guys that look exactly like that. So it doesn't mean he's necessarily not UFC caliber, but he's just not championship material. But I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to call it yet. Let's see how he turns out. All right, Victoria Leonardo getting the decision win over Mandy Boom. All right, Leonardo did more work in that first round, and she stayed active. I felt like Boom apparently landed more strikes, and I could have given that round to her too. But Leonardo did decent. She landed some. I don't know. I would say the damage was even, and she did enough. She had enough control time to sway it in her direction. 2 minutes and 30 seconds of control time. Do you know what I mean? So I gave her that first round. Same in the second round, but now she landed more as well, 20-18, and she had the control time, so easy round for her. And then in the third round, I guess Boom landed more, but the forward pressure, and I felt like Leonardo landed more damage. Just because she didn't win on significant striking numbers, I felt like she landed more damage. And again, the control time. So Leonardo getting the win, even though it doesn't look like it on paper. And then the very first fight on the card, Nicholas Dalby versus Claudio Silva. Dalby got taken down and mounted and spent the whole round on his back. 0-0 in this first round, guys. Way to open up the card. So many people probably turned it off. If this is all they know, they just turn this on. They're like, what the fuck is this? And just shut it off. So obviously that first round goes to Silva. Easy, 10-9. Second round here, pretty much So Silva got in a good position, and he did attempt. I thought he at least attempted one submission in that first round. Maybe he didn't, but there was a lot of heavy grappling, and you can tell that he was tired in the second round, and Dalby started going to work, not getting taken down. Dalby, he went down, and Silva took the back, but Dalby spun around in the guard, and he started laying down some damage. Silva was tired when they stood up, and Dalby landed big shots, huge shots. Silva looked like garbage on the feet. 31-6 in favor of Dalby in that second round, and then Silva did a really good job grabbing the inside of the gloves of Dalby, keeping the taking a page out of the of Oliveira's book. Yeah, I don't know if this is a grappler thing or whatever it is. I don't know what it is or why these guys do this crap, but grabbing the inside of someone else's gloves and holding them there, it seems to be a pattern from certain people. But yeah, like you could tell he was just tired, and he's just grabbing onto stuff and holding the inside of Dalby's glove to stop him from getting away. And then Silva got on top for a bit, but no damage. I had him losing this last round as well. 14-5 in favor of Dalby. Dalby's interesting, man. I like watching him fight. He's fun. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC. Not exactly the oh, dude. He fought at 185? No, this must have been when Darren Till freaking dropped. I was still fighting at 170. Yeah. You know, he's fun. He lost to Zach Cummings, who was beating everybody with grappling back then. Peter Sabata. He beat Alex Oliveira. No contest. Win. Loss against Tim Means. And a win. You know, maybe he's just figuring it out and trying to put it together. You know, he's an older guy. He's just doing what he can. I don't, like, his skill level is never going to be that of a champion. I can tell you now, based off of his age, it ain't happening. Right? Being in your late 30s, it ain't happening. Not at welterweight. If he's the heavyweight, maybe he have a couple years and kind of figure it out, but especially with his skill set. Now, like I said, I think he's fun to watch. I think he came in great shape. I think he looked excellent on the feet. I think he did a good job grappling with a guy who is much better at grappling than he is, and he made it competitive. When he was being when he was in a disadvantageous position, he made it competitive enough to keep the fight going, and then got the other guy tired. So Claudio Silva, not great. He had 3 losses in a row. You know, he has a win over Danny Roberts and Nordine Taleb and Leon Edwards. Oh, my. Oh, that was back in 2014. This guy's been fighting forever. That's why. He's an older guy, too. And he just doesn't have it anymore. I wouldn't mind him getting cut after maybe one more fight, but he could get cut now, too. Especially with that performance, like looking so tired like that. That's not a good look for the sport. All right. That is it. If you're looking for the main card, it's in the last video. If you're looking for Bellator, it's in the video before that. If you made it this far, please subscribe to the channel because you'll see when the next video comes out, and those videos are going to be something that you're probably going to like because all I do is UFC, PFL, Bellator. I do coverage like this. I talk about the fights. I break them down as best as I can. I give my opinion on them. So thank you for stopping by. If this is the only one you're watching, weird flex, but okay. I appreciate it. You know, a guy who just wants to hear about the prelims. Good on you. I love you anyway. I hope everybody has an amazing week. Take care of yourselves out there. And like I said, I love y'all.